Welcome back to another episode of Career Channels. We're glad to have you with us. Today, we're talking with some of the team members from Veterans Florida to discuss SkillBridge, which, as far as I know, is an incredible employer service that can help bring talent back home. Today, we've got Joe Marino and Colby Livingston with us to help discuss it. So, first question for you guys is going to be, give us an overview of what SkillBridge is.
Certainly. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for having us on. My name is Joe Marino. I'm the Executive Director of Veterans Florida. Real quick, we were created in 2014 as a nonprofit under the state of Florida and the Florida Department of Veterans Affairs to provide career and entrepreneurship assistance for transitioning service members here in Florida and all over the country, those that are seeking to come to Florida. So our SkillBridge reach goes within Florida, nationally, and globally. We have SkillBridgers coming to Florida from international locations, such as Korea and Japan and Italy and whatnot. So any employer who's paying attention, that right there is opening up your talent pool. You're not just restricted to your particular geographic area. And SkillBridge was created by the Department of Defense about the middle of last decade, around 2016, give or take. And it allows service members during their final few months in service to go work at a employer, public or private, while they're essentially still in uniform. So they retain their DoD salary and benefits while working at the employer. So the employer has no salary to pay. It's essentially an unpaid internship for the employer and the service member. And once the service member receives command approval, because they of course have to get that time approved by their current commander, then they can go on location, work at the employer's site. And we encourage employers to do more of an orientation type of SkillBridge. Now, certain positions, may require, you have to have these skills for this area or that area. But generally what we find works really well, and which is most marketable to service members to pique their interest to even apply, is if the employer is offering an orientation, come work at our facility or location for 3-4 months, and weeks 1 and 2 general orientation, weeks 3 and 4 you're going to go learn this part of our business, weeks 5 and 6 you're going to go learn that part of the business. So if you give the service member a chance to learn more about your business than a specific job, try to think of SkillBridge as an orientation, not a job order. We find those are most successful and very attractive to the veterans because they're coming out of service. Some of them, it's available to service members who've been in 20 years as well as 4 years. So this is for a lot of them, this is going to be their first experience working with the civilian life side of things. And so the more exposure they get to areas of your business or your operation, the more you're going to get a chance to see where they may fit in your organization as well. So that's kind of the high level view, the advantages to the employer as well as the service member. A successful transition also on the social side of things reduces a lot of the pain we may see down the road with veterans. And a lot of times it's because they don't feel like they have a mission or a purpose. And so SkillBridge comes along and says, all right, let's kick some tires. Let's get out there. Let's get some civilian experience before you even leave, before you even take off your uniform. And it gives them a head start towards that new career. And if the employer recognizes that, they're going to have a very loyal team member moving on.
That's some great information right there. So what should either employers or service members do first in regard to SkillBridge?
Sure. If an employer is interested in SkillBridge, we have we have agreements with Department of Commerce and CareerSource where the leavers, the local veteran employment representatives, will send to Veterans Florida employers who are interested in SkillBridge. We'll do some screening, we'll do some qualifying, we'll make sure that what the employer is trying to do is even really a SkillBridge again, or is it a job order? If it's a job order, we'll send it back to the leaver. But if it's SkillBridge, then we'll walk that employer through. We've already got a SkillBridge MOU, memorandum of understanding, with DoD. So if the employer signs up under us, they're going to skip about 6 to 9 months of paperwork and waiting. And because we've already got that established, and all they have to do is submit an initial training plan for us to get it going. So we basically already we're already starting on the 50-yard line, essentially. The advantage to the employer is to work through us, and they can contact us through their lever that they're in touch with, or they can go to our website, veteransflorida.org, and contact us from there. Colby is the person that they would most likely be working with to walk them through those initial steps. And same thing with the service member. The service members can go to our website, veteransflorida.org, and there's half of our website is geared towards the employer, and half of our website is geared towards the service member and veteran. So the service member can come to our website, fill out a quick web form. We have an entire team of veterans who are working directly with the service members to get them into these skill bridges. So we've got 8 people in the back on the vets team that are working with these service members to get them openings with the employers that come through on the other side. So we have a great relationship with CareerSource. I actually sit on the CareerSource Florida board as well, so I get a bird's eye view of everything that the local CareerSource boards are doing. And so number one, what CareerSource boards does at the local level is incredible for veterans, and this just enhances those services. Now, if an employer already has a SkillBridge, right? Again, they can tap into our marketing power by signing another type of MOU where it's recruiting focused, where if an employer already has an existing SkillBridge, then we can use our national and global marketing again to increase their talent pipeline. So there's a number of advantages to working with us and through us, and the number, the best way again to get to us is through the lever or through our website.
Okay. So pretty much if an employer is looking to vastly expand their talent pool and possibly gain some skills or skill sets that they might not even have thought of, it's a great idea for them to contact their local lever or come straight to you guys, because like you said earlier, you've got so many different service members that are coming out that have been stationed all over the world and done so many different jobs that business, their talent pool and skill set is going to skyrocket.
Right. There's on average, the running number is 200,000 service members are leaving the military each year, and we're trying to capture as many of those and bring them to Florida or keep them in Florida. And Colby can speak to this too. One of the things we found is employers that have been with us for a while, maybe 12 or 18 months, we're starting to build their pipeline out into the future, because service members know when they're getting out. They know when they're going to start SkillBridge. So right now in January of 2024, we are essentially setting SkillBridges up for people in July, August, September down the road. So we're helping employers fill their manning before openings even occur. It's a really great way for for employers to tap into this talent and get ahead of the curve, instead of reacting to staffing challenges. This solution helps them get ahead of it. Colby, what's been your experience in that?
Yeah, I agree, Joe. The biggest thing that I've noticed as well with companies that we've been working with for a while on SkillBridge is they come to Veterans Florida and they say, hey, I want to build a SkillBridge opportunity targeting one area of my business or one section or department. And they've found it so successful that they've since expanded it to include multiple departments and areas and trainings, basically covering the entire business and allowing them to flex out and kind of grow within that.
And they're able to do that almost a year or more ahead of time. So that's incredible for the employers. So,
absolutely.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to expand on that. So to kind of give you a more specific example right now, we're sitting here January 19th, 2024. We have service members reaching to us out today that are looking for opportunities starting as soon as September of 2024. So it allows maximum flexibility, both on the employer side and on the transitioning service member side.
That's incredible. So what's one piece of advice that you'd give to someone who's looking into SkillBridge?
Joe, if you don't mind, I'll start off with this one.
Yeah, go right ahead.
The biggest thing that I've noticed is getting through those first couple of months, getting through the setup, getting through maybe even your first intern, and just having open communication, both with the interns and applicants that you have and the Veterans Florida, the local career source. Because once you get it established, it pretty much becomes a smooth operation on its own. But the biggest thing I would encourage to businesses is just have a little bit of patience at the beginning. Because again, you might come to Veterans Florida with an idea of doing a training targeting one area. And then through the process, you find, hey, actually, this area over here is a way better fit for SkillBridge. And this is how we're going to pivot and utilize this. And there's a lot of flexibility within the program itself. So that's what I would encourage, is just patience at the beginning.
And with CareerSource being one of your partners, we can assist those employers with any of the job openings that they currently have by getting them started in the Employ Florida system, which is what the entire state of Florida uses. And then we transfer straight over to you guys, and a lot of their stuff is already taken care of.
Exactly.
It's this level of collaboration that makes Florida work so well. And I'll pass it back over to Colby.
Yeah, and like Joe mentioned before, the partnerships that Veterans Florida has established with the local career source boards around the state have made this whole process relatively easy. Because if it's a situation where a company comes to me and it's more of a job order and it's not a good SkillBridge opportunity, I can call a lever at one of the local career sources and say, hey, I got this opportunity. I'm going to send you a referral email. Feel free to reach out to them, get them into your system, get this process going, because I can't help them on the SkillBridge side, but maybe they'd be a better fit for you as far as getting a direct placement.
Yeah, and like Joe said earlier, the collaboration kind of starts all of those employers out on the 50-yard line instead of at the home end. They've got 90% of their stuff taken care of before they even start looking for the applicants. So all they're having to do is look through the resumes, look at the skills, figure out who's the best fit.
Exactly. Veterans Florida goal on that whole process is to take on as much of the administrative burden as possible so that the companies can just focus on selecting interns and training, which is something that companies are already doing themselves. I don't need them to go and learn a whole new system just to participate in a program. Veterans Florida has already done that. We will do that for you. And we'll do it rather quickly because we've gotten really good at it. So that's the thought process there, is to make it as easy as possible to participate in this program.
Easy is always nice. So let's do a quick recap. SkillBridge is an incredible employer service that can help bring worldwide talent back home to Florida, increasing the hiring pool, skill sets, and overall longevity of that employer. And it is for employers as well as service members, and they can start within a year of leaving the service.
Yeah, let me just add too. This is one of those Florida wins, because Florida is the only state which put into law, not that it was necessarily necessary, but it's an important distinction. Florida put into law back in 2021 that we were going to have a statewide SkillBridge initiative, managed by an entity at the state level to coordinate at the local. No other state has anything like this. Another state, Illinois, passed something in 2022, but they haven't really had a chance to get it going yet. So Florida is the first and only state which kicked off this initiative. And it's both an awareness, it's an outreach, and as Colby was talking, it's also an administrative initiative because we take on that burden. So it's really important for the listeners to know this is how Florida takes care of its military communities, of its employers, and helping them tap into this really untapped talent potential across the world.
And one thing I'd like to add to that, Stephen, is this service that we're talking about today, the DoD SkillBridge program, working with Veterans Florida, is completely free. It is free to the businesses participating. It is free to the transitioning service members. We are here to help get veterans into the workforce in the state of Florida. That is our purpose. That is our goal. And SkillBridge is one of those priorities of ours that we participate to do this. So this service is completely free. There is no charge to it.
And that's just the same here with CareerSource. Is everything we do is free. We
Exactly.
don't charge for any of our services. So, employers, if you're wanting to help bring that global talent back home and you're interested in joining the SkillBridge program, you can either call CareerSource North Florida at 850-973-9675, or you can go online, careersourcenorthflorida.com, or you can go straight to veteransflorida.com. But either way, we'll get you connected with who you need to speak with for more information.
It's veteransflorida.org, Stephen.
Veteransflorida.org. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So do you guys have any final words for our listeners?
I know it sounds too good to be true. I almost didn't believe it when I first heard about it in 2018. What? An employer gets an intern at no cost, and they don't have to pay them. And I get to test out and try out a service member and see if I can hire them when they get out of the military. Yes, you can. And it's an incredible program with incredible flexibility, as Colby mentioned. It's one of those rare. It's probably the rarest federal program I've ever come across because it is so flexible. And whenever the feds do put on any added burdens, the employers don't feel it because we're the ones working through it. There are some burdens of dealing with the feds, and that's why we encourage employers to come through us directly because we sort of shield them from that. But once it's up and running, it's about the smoothest program from a government entity that employers have probably ever dealt with.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. And remember, you can find your career path here with Career Channels.